over to here.
can
And
do
you'll
that?
notice that I've copied and pasted the forces which were on the other map. And you'll also notice that the default commanders for these different units are statted. They have some bars above them. Despite my better judgment, I had decided to give these guys some basic little special abilities as commanders. You can see their character sheets, their NPC character sheets, by going into the commanders subfolder in the mass combat units. You don't have to deal with all of these characters. You most likely you'll want to send off the majority of them to defend other parts of the city while you guys are doing your thing. But you can pick like maybe 3 of them if you like to accompany the units that you want to defend the gate with, just as extra support for the units that you're not attached to. I can do brief overviews of them if you like, but I think it's easier if they're just studied over the next couple of weeks. It's fairly simple. I will draw attention to Mother Regina, Ea Windcrest, and the Courtier, because those 3 are spellcasters that have some tricks up their sleeve.
I'm scrolling down, look at all his spells.
Lodge Master Logan, Ea Windcrest, and I believe
At will, magic armor, invocation.
yeah, those 2, Logan and Windcrest, are battle masters, so they have some other special abilities which are really helpful in a fight, and the rest of them have just some other more niche abilities.
Circle of Death.
Yeah. Courtier's had a Mystic Arcanum this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Demons are immune to poison damage, but Fuego doesn't have time to sort her bombs out, so there's a chance that it's gonna be poison.
Yep.
Aren't they also resistant to firing cold?
Not all of them.
Most of them.
Yeah, Fuego's more of a troll commander, but still useful to have around if you want.
Look, Army of Trolls sounds wonderful right now.
It would be wonderful, yeah.
Isn't that just what the Darklings are?
Well, the Ducklings have troll faces. That doesn't mean they're trolls.
Is it racist to just call them trolls?
Probably.
Can we just give them all regeneration and call them trolls?
Oh, if only. Okay, so I reckon what we'll do is I would like each of you to click and drag one of the units that you want to command and just like drag them off to the left of the big group, just so you can use them as your unit for the day. And you can snatch one from one of the friendly commanders if you want.
Wolf needs some healing.
Alright. This is a good spread. I'm going to click and drag you guys now up to the gate. And I'll spawn in a few enemies for you.
It's a good thing that Dretch and Babus don't have magical dark vision as demons.
I will warn you that you have faced demons before that do have blind sight to a limited degree.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But that's not all of them.
Blind spot? Can I just...
I'm imagining that this is like an actual in-game tutorial. Like you've got Lieutenant Creasy is like, let's prepare for the battle that will come.
Yeah. He just pops up in the corner with a speech bubble on the side of it.
I see you're
Yeah.
trying to defend the city. Would you like some assistance?
Yeah, but this will be a good amount of space, I think. And this should be easy for you guys, just based on the simplicity of it. This is your Blitzball tutorial, everyone. Listen up or you'll suck at the game and lose the tournament. Anyway.
What does
So-
this brown patch mean? Is that like a field?
Yeah, that's a field.
I asked that same question last night.
So, just as a refresher, mass combat here is going to be virtually the same as regular D&D 5e combat, with
Oh,
a
that makes it
few
easy.
with a few very very notable distinctions. First of all, the turns last 12 seconds. So basically, I had put in the regular land speeds of these units, but you'll be like traversing twice their land speed. So the Silver Tusk Militia can normally move 30 feet in a round, but if they just move normally, then they move 60 feet. And if they dash, they can move another 60 feet. If you have an effect duration, that will last twice as long. However, so like if you need to concentrate for something for up to a minute, then you can concentrate for up to 2 minutes. However, you still get only the same amount of actions per turn. So for those 12 seconds in a turn, you still only get your regular action, your bonus action, and your object interaction. Second thing is, these units have two statistics which you want to pay attention to. The red bar is their strength, which is not the status strength, but I didn't have a better word for it. This represents basically how able they are to fight. You know, how many people are left, how many people are wounded, that kind of thing. Kind of like HP.
As a note, we cannot see the enemy numbers. That's probably intentional.
Right. Can you see your unit numbers, though?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, yep, that'll be fine. I can probably reveal the enemy HP at least. I'll do that later.
So it's sort of like
This is what these tests are for.
stamina and morality.
Yeah, it's sort of an abstraction for just everything which makes them able to fight physically.
Did I say morality? Morale. you hit
Yeah, if
them
they
and
get
they
an
get more
existential
evil.
crisis, they just lose all of it. And the green bar is morale. This is how willing a unit is to fight. This is something which can get influenced up and down, but most of all, it gets lowered alongside your HP strength. So that means that units with lower morale than their HP strength will probably flee before they are completely wiped out. However, there are a lot of different kinds of effects that can lower morale. If you have anything which imposes the frightened condition, or otherwise would make a unit scared, then that will damage morale directly. And if you have anything which boosts morale, or say gives temporary hit points in a flavorful way that would boost morale, then that will heal morale points rather than giving you temporary HP, unless it's more thematic to do it the other way. So you want to keep both of those up. Morale will go down if a nearby friendly unit, which is stronger than your unit, gets wiped out or broken. And your morale will go up if an enemy unit, which is stronger than your unit, is wiped out or broken, similarly. So it's kind of like you'll want to push the advantage so that you can keep your morale as high as possible. But at the same time, you'll want to keep an eye on your strength so you can keep that up. Without boring you too much on the details, we'll move on. There are special status effects which happen if you go above your maximum morale or go down to 0 morale. We'll get into those if they come up. And you as commanders, this is a more important thing. You as commanders share your actions with your unit, and your unit counts as one target for your abilities. So, Wilford, you have Action Surge, I think.
Yep.
So if you use Action Surge, then your unit can use that extra action that you get.
Cool.
However, if, say, Linny, you had cast Psychic ability on a different unit, it would not be able to affect that different unit unless it was like an area of effect thing, or it's something that like specifically targets multiple targets enough to affect a unit. That kind of thing will sort of play it loosey-goosey. But at the same time, if you cast that effect on your unit, then that unit counts as one target.
Can I cast it on a leader and have it affect the group if there's a leader with him?
No, it will just affect that leader.
Okay.
Because otherwise you could like cast it on a leader and then have the leader join a unit, and then you've effectively cast it on the unit. So you can attach and detach from units however you like, whenever you like. And like run around the battlefield. You guys will be supplied with mounts. So your land speed, if it's lower than 60 feet, will be increased to 60 feet pretty much. Apart from Wolf, I think. He's just going to have to deal with it some other way. However, if you join a unit that is faster than you, such as the Corgi Knights, then you can assume their land speed. So those Corgi Knights, they move 80 feet on their land speed because they're really fast.
I like to think that one of the fairies is riding Wolf, and it's particularly spellcasting on Wolf to keep up with the others.
Yeah, exactly. So you fill in the narrative gaps to it and stuff like that. But yeah, so you don't have to worry about keeping up with your unit if you're slow.
They'll just put rocket boots on Kettle.
Wilford, in particular, you picked a shield wall unit.
Yes.
That means that we'll be dealing with facing with your unit. Your shields are facing one way, and so on one side of them, they get a bunch of advantages against the enemy. There are certain units that will not have to deal with those particular advantages. I decided not to. I was a bit lazy and didn't put like a shape for you to use, like a square thing. But I'm wondering if I can't fudge it with like a square aura. Wait, I need something a bit different than that color. I don't think this will work. No, it doesn't. It doesn't change it. Okay, so
just the way the head's pointing is front facing, maybe.
Yeah, let's go with that for now, and that'll make it easy. We'll fudge it that way. I might make little templates or square tokens for them, but it's up to you. You can turn the shield wall ability on or off, as like by expending half their movement. But yeah, you'll generally want to keep your shields facing the enemy.
Right.
Linny, you've chosen a skirmisher. These guys are cool because they don't have to worry about difficult terrain, and if they damage someone with a melee attack, they do not provoke attacks of opportunity from them. Where your guys are going to excel is mainly in either the windbreaks, like these trees between the fields here, that's difficult terrain, and also any of the roads inside the city that are less than 3 squares wide count as difficult terrain because they're alleyways that a unit has to really file into.
Quick question. As a ranger, I have the ability for me to ignore difficult terrain. Does that go to my knights as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So I'm officially the most mobile, hard to put down thing in existence right now.
Yep.
I'm gonna guess that my temp HP doesn't affect my unit at all, right?
No, it will not.
Unfortunate. Then I would be completely unable to die.
Yeah.
You know what I can do to make sure I never die? Healing spirit.
It's a good one to do.
So just by extension, because temp HP, ogre form. Can I get a larger army?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
That
will
temp
last as
HP
long as
might actually do something because it's not just a passive thing that refreshes every single round.
That's right. I'd say it would like maybe refresh a couple of morale points on your unit, just on the spot.
Yep.
Would it make it like the units might be resistant to morale damage while I'm with them? If for the temp HP thing, maybe. Am I just trying to sneak extra points out of you, or?
I am. I've been having it in the back of my mind to try and figure out a way to incorporate your passive temp HP because it is a thing that just refreshes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the size of the effects on mechanics in the mass combat, because the units are smaller. I'm sorry, because the numbers are smaller, makes it a bit more tricky to incorporate things like that.
Yep.
So right now I don't have anything, but it could be that like.
The sad thing is none of us are wizards, so we can't just cast fireball.
I mean, I'm a wizard. I just don't have most wizard abilities.
You aren't a pure wizard.
How big are these squares? Are they 5 feet? They look smaller.
Yes, they're 5 feet.
Okay.
Another question that may or may not come up ever. Assuming that there's enemy commanders or enemies against us, what kind of damage? Like, could Dretch Swarm attack Wilfred, or could militia attack enemy commander?
So I've only got a couple of units that would count as enemy commanders. One of them is a special case where you probably won't have to worry about it. The other one, though, if it is narratively cool enough to do so, then we could have, say, if you engage a unit they're attached to, and you find a way to force them to duel you, then we could zoom into like a parallel smaller combat to play that out. So that's a thing that can happen. But I think in at least the first combat, that might be a little difficult to pull off, but by all means. And it'll actually be possibly quite advantageous to you because while you guys are dueling, you cannot operate your unit.
Right.
So they'll be both on their own. So your unit will be on their own, but also the enemy unit won't be able to get the bonuses from their commanders.
Oh my god, this is as far as I can shoot, period.
Uh-huh.
In the first Ranger Companion.
What?
So actually, on that note, I just as a reminder, on the far left of this map are two margin sort of hallways you can see with yellow and green on them.
Mm-hmm.
The shorter one is the range of a crossbowman, which is like the crossbow units that you have. The longer range is the range increments of the scorpion bows that you guys will be able to get.
So this is showing 100 feet?
Mm-hmm.
And mine says 80 feet, but they're short bows, so mine would be shorter than that?
Yeah, by like 4 squares. Short bows are very much skirmisher weapons. You want to keep mobile with them.
Yep. Okay.
Now, Corgi Knights. Corgi Knights are harassment units. Good thing about harassment units is that if you reserve, like if you don't use 20 feet up to 20 feet of your unit
I
movement.
can use it as a reaction.
Yeah, you can move as a reaction. So, say you like get up to a Dretch swarm right here, and it's like within 60 feet of you. They're going to be able to charge you the next turn, and you fire off a shot at them and end your turn. And then on the Dretch's turn, they try to move towards you. You can say, okay, harassment, and then just like move 20 feet away so they can't engage you.
Say zoomies.
Sure. All right, so that's
Look, they are Corgi knights. Of course I'm going to use the zoomy word.
The only other type of unit that's unique and important would be the scorpion bows, right? The rest of
And
them
the
are kind
golem.
of, yeah, the golems too.
yeah. The golems work a little funny. If they reach 0 morale, then they go berserk. So you'll want to keep their morale
Oh.
up. But otherwise, they are very, very resistant to damage. They're immune to a lot of kinds of damage.
And the scorpion bows are they basically immobile mostly, or?
Yeah. So you'll set up where you want the scorpion bows to be, and the teams, the scorpion bow teams, they can move around. So if you need to retreat them back, then you can reuse the teams to man the bows, like in a layer further into the city. But the bows like require a few minutes to pack up and take away, and they're really difficult to get down from the walls. So it's not going to be particularly practical to try and salvage them if they get overrun.
Can we shoot the keep?
Shoot the
There
keep.
I don't think there's anything stopping us from doing it. I mean, if you feel like being an insurgent, yeah.
The keep. I think if you get a scorpion bow like stationed really far into the map, into the city, you could probably shoot at the keep if you want to.
Hey,
If the
Muffin.
enemies are stationed up on these walls or something, we might want to break down the walls or something and make it easier to get to them if they breach the walls.
Hey, Muffin,
Yeah.
I got a quick thing I want to ask you about.
Mm-hmm.
My Corgi Knights have a fly speed?
Oh, the pixies. Sorry, the sprites that are
Just double checking, because I just imagined little Corgis just jumping and keep on running in the air.
right. Yeah. So the sprites which are mounted on the Corgi Knights have a fly speed, but the Corgis themselves don't. So and the sprites do not have the strength to open the Corgis up. But that's just to remind me, like if you dismount from the Corgis, then the sprites can still fly away.
And the sprites are the ones with the bows, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just like weird Corgi action where they're somehow using their tail and mouth.
No. No.
Aww. Because then I could separate them and have artillery and puppies with a gun.
Yeah, no. Corgis, they are very fast and they're very faithful Fey mounts, but they are not attack dogs.
Is Lamb riding a giant Corgi?
It's up to you.
I want Lamb to be riding a giant Corgi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, thing about the Scorpion Bow and the Golems also, they are siege units. That basically means that if you've got a unit of big creatures, like say Balguras, or like anything which is large or bigger, then they will deal 1 bonus damage to them whenever they hit them. So they can be really useful for like focusing down larger threats that are coming your way.
That brings me to a good point. Is there, so like, are the Dretch Swarm a large or bigger, or is that something else? Like-
The Dretches are medium.
Yeah.
I'm referring to the size of the constituents within the units. So
Okay.
Dretches, they're medium. Babals are medium. I would have brought down a Varrock or a Balgura or something if we had a siege unit on us, but we don't. The only other unit which is good to know about are shocking charge units. These are your knights and I think your golems. I can't remember. You have like a couple of units with shocking charge. Basically, these are like big scary units. So if they engage the enemy in melee from more than 20 feet away in a turn, they automatically deal a morale damage even before they do their attack. So this can be really useful if you've got like an enemy on with flagging morale, and you just want to take them out. You charge in the shocking charge, and they're instantly broken, or like getting really close to broken.
Shocking charge the golems.
Yeah, you'll want to avoid that if at all possible. So anyway, without further ado, I think we should try and get into this. So I would like each of your player characters to roll initiative.
One additional question.
Yep.
AC?
Your units each have an AC score in their blue bar.
Okay. So AC is just per standard. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we were to attack an individual unit, like or a commander, they might have like a AC 18 or something, whereas the group unit might have AC 14, so they'd be probably harder to hit on general.
That's right.
I'm just not allowed to go first.
I rolled the highest.
You did, actually.
Good job. So to... Oh wait, we actually have some leftover things here. Hold on, let me deal with this.
Don't worry, we can't see it. It's just you.
Hey, quick question.
Yep.
With the randomizer, do I just load up the Pokemon Sky game, or is there a specific...
The one you saved with the NDS, where you typed in NDS.
All right, that's it. Sorry, I was just trying to double check because my thing got done downloading. Sorry to break the flow.
All right,
Oh.
so...
Sorry, another question.
Yep.
So superiority dice, can I use that on my units?
Yes, actually, as a battle master, your maneuvers can have like pretty flexible effects on your units, because it's like in a flavorful fashion going to be like your battlefield training, right?
Right. Yeah.
So which maneuvers do you have? Remind me.
I have
Menacing?
trip, push, menacing.
So actually, you'll notice that in the commanders subfolder, Aya has trip,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically a similar thing. Like it won't push the unit physically back, but it will. Oh, sorry, she has trip, so that will. It's basically the same thing. Force them to make a save, or the whole unit falls prone, or has the
Right.
prone condition, so they still suffer the same debilitations there.
Yep.
Lodge Master Logan has
Menacing?
Battle Cry, which is menacing, and that's a similar thing, but it just inflicts 1 morale damage, and also the unit becomes frightened of you until the end of your next turn.
Cool. Yep.
Until the end of your next turn. So trip, push, and menacing. Push, we can say basically does what it says on the tin.
Trip.
Like if you hit them, you can use it and force the enemy to make a save, and if they fail, then they get pushed back. How many feet was it?
Up to 15, 10, 15 feet.
Okay, so yeah, you could do that as well. And it'll just be the entire units acting on each other.
Okay, cool.
For today, may I set my psi points to maximum? I've got
yeah,
them
sure.
recorded.
Yeah. Just write down what you had before, and you can set it to that when we resume
Okay.
on the day. So with initiative, I'm thinking because there are going to be a bunch of different units to do at once, instead of every unit having its own initiative tracker, we'll basically have each commander have their own initiative track, and then on their turn, all of their units, like one by one, in the commander's choice of order, can do their thing.
Okay, cool.
So you guys will have more than one unit that you actually control, even though you're in command of only one of them at a time. So say if Wilford had the Silver Tusk Militia and also a Guard Spearman, and it ticked over to Wilford's turn, then he could either have the Spearman act first or the Silver Tusk Militia act first, but they will both be acting before his turn is up.
So,
And we will similarly have like 1 or 2 turns for the demons as well.
so because this is partially pertinent to my first turn, what happens if our morale exceeds maximum? You said there was a special effect.
Yes, there is. If you go over your maximum morale, you become, you get the fervent condition, and units that are fervent can spend 1 morale point to gain advantage on a single d20 roll, and they can do this at any time. It doesn't have to be on their turn. If they need a advantage for a saving throw, then they can spend a morale point to get advantage on it.
Cool.
Nice.
So yeah, at the start of the battle, when the units are fresh and all eager, you can boost them up and get them extra hyped, and then they can really push their advantage initially.
And that just lasts until you lose morale below your maximum?
If your morale gets to your maximum below, then you lose that status effect. So you can, at that point, you can no longer spend morale to get advantage on things.
Okay.
But anyway, it's your turn first, Lenny. So what would you like to do with the Mastiff Men?
I'm thinking of doing just that. Let's use Draft of Courage. So this is touch one ally, and you gain temp HP equal to the psi points I spend. And also, target is immune to fear. Which I feel is a morale booster, right?
It absolutely would be.
So how do I choose how many psi points to spend? Because it's 1 point per point.
Temp HP. That's a good question. Could you print out the info block for that one?
Sure.
So it's 1 to 7. Okay. At the beginning of each of their turns. Okay.
This is just a constant refreshing.
Like a minute.
Or until I lose concentration. I assume if the unit gets hit, I also have to roll concentration, right?
Yes, but it'll be like easy unless you get hit directly by an area of effect, which damages you
Okay.
for extra. So in this case, Draft of Courage, I would say you could use 3 psi points to get 1, or 7 psi points to get 2.
I cannot do 7. What if it were 3 and 6?
3 and 6 is good.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it says max of 7, but I can't do that until I level up. All right. So let me just triple check that I can do 6. Yes. All right. So I'm gonna use 6 and get +2 morale.
Excellent. So yeah, you've got the plus on your morale thing. That means you're fervent.
Okay, and then we're just going to move. You say we have 60 movement speed?
Yes.
I don't want to move too close, so I'm just going to move half my speed right now.
Alrighty. And with that, that's the actions. You have any bonus actions you want to do?
I think that's it for now.
Okay. Lamb, it is you and the Corgi Knight's turn.
I have a single question.
Yep.
I have this flame. I have the spell Flame Arrow. So what would happen if these hordes are resistant to flame or fire damage?
So is the fire damage a bonus on top of your regular arrows, or is it
Yes,
just
it's a bonus.
Okay, so if they're resistant, then well, if you could print out the info block for flame arrows for me.
Mm-hmm. Spell info.
Uh-huh. So I will say that this will add an extra damage to your arrow attacks. But if the enemy is resistant to fire, then it's just going to be an extra 0.5 damage.
An extra 0.5?
Yes.
Yeah,
so they're
half
resistant
damage
to
exists.
halve it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Milford, what are you doing? I see you making a circle.
What do you want to say?
All these squares make a circle. No, I want to just double check to make sure I completely understand this. I could cast flame arrows. I could have my people move, and then I can use the bows on my Corgi Knights.
Because flame arrows cost a action to cast, that means the Corgi Knights no longer have an action to do their attack.
Okay.
But it'll be next turn they'll be able to
Yeah,
attack.
I cast cast flame arrows, and I'm gonna move my Corgi Knights. I'm gonna say this like 40 feet this way.
Sure.
That's about right. 40 feet, 40, 50 feet. I still got the 20 in reserve, so I can use harassment if I need to be. I'm good.
Yeah, and a quick tip for all of you. If you click and hold on your token, and then right-click, wherever you drag your token will have a ruler from its origin. And you can
So
right-click to have more waypoints on it. So that's going to be really helpful for measuring out how far you can move.
Oh, my screen's all jerky whenever I try to do that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually put down in a note to downsize the map because it's got a lot of pixels that are crammed in there. But yeah, anyway, you are concentrating on flame arrows right now. And we go over to Wilford.
All right. I guess I'm just gonna jump out in front. Help eye with him. Then I am going to start with a minute aura bloodletting, which is the aura that I have.
Awesome.
Oh,
That'll
the blood.
count to all the units. Yeah.
That affects me as well?
Yes.
Yep.
Everything within. Can you see my aura?
No,
Yep.
I cannot see your aura right now.
Hold on, let me see if I can fix that.
That's a
Does Kettle get a turn, or does he share his action with our group? There it is.
If Kettle is your mount, then
He just
you
shares
just
an
hang
action?
around. He has his own action. However, because he's not commanding the unit, it won't be sharing that action with the unit.
Oh, so he has a
if-
special second action I can use?
Now, this is a tricky question because what
Right.
can Kettle do with his special
He can
extra
punch.
action?
That's what he can do. He can punch.
Okay, so as a reminder, as individual units, you will not be able to fight units
Okay.
on your own, just because it's a scaling problem. Like you'll be able to kill a bunch of them, but it's still a big unit of individuals. So it'll take longer than the battle will take to resolve for
Effectively,
you.
he has no action.
Yes,
Okay.
but you know, if you want him to toss you around or something like that, he could do that.
Yep.
Or if he has an opportunity to do something special, then yeah, he has that in his upper sleeve.
Okay.
And so Wilford, that was your action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does it take? Well, I guess not. So, I mean, the shield wall doesn't need a turn to set up or anything, does it?
You can assume that you're already in a shield wall to
Okay.
start off with.
Yeah. In that case, I will just hold action for them to come into melee range.
Okay. So Aura of Bloodletting, was that an action?
It's a bonus action.
Oh, right. So yeah, you're holding your action. That means that the Silver Tusk Militia will attack the first unit that tries to engage them.
As an answer to your question, it does take time to turn on and off shield wall. It expends half of your movement.
Right.
Yeah. So, the Verbal Cadre and the Dretch Swarms, they're going to move in. So the Verbal Cadre, just remember what it can do.
It can do spooky, scary skeleton things.
So what the Babao Cadre is going to do initially is it's going to cast the Fear spell, because it has that as a spellcasting ability. Now the Fear spell is a 30-foot cone, so it's going to have to move into within that range of the Silver Tusk Militia. And now the Silver Tusk Militia needs to make me a Wisdom saving throw.
They don't share my fearless for being a halfling, right?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Let me
So
just.
that's advantage on saves against fear, right?
I believe so.
Fantastic.
Great. Yeah. Advantage saving
Mhm.
for frighten. Wisdom.
Okay, and their DC was 11, so Silver Tusk Militia pass. If they had failed, then they would have lost a couple of morale points.
Mhm.
I'm not seeing
no.
that roll. It looks like it's whispered, maybe?
Oh, whoops. Some of the NPC sheets might be still set to whisper to GM, so just change that for the ones we have out here.
I'm looking. I don't see it anymore. Hit it?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, but the Silver Tusk Militia rolled an 11, so they rolled a 19 actually because they had advantage. Okay, so now the Dretch Swarms are going to come in. These guys are just going to slam against the front of the shield wall of the Silver Tusk. Silver Tusk can do their attack, their prepared action.
Yes. 2 arms, men. That's going to be a 24.
A 24, because the Aura of Bloodletting.
Mhm.
Alright. Let me just get up the Dretch
Spooky,
Swarm
scary
character sheets.
skeletons.
Yep, that's going to hit, because the Dretches are super weak. So the Dretches suffer 1 damage to their strength and 1 damage to their morale.
But wait, there's more!
Oh! Menacing attack. Fantastic. And it just so happens that the Dretches are not immune to being afraid that way, so they need to make a wisdom save. And they actually roll a 19, which is really, really lucky for them. So they unfortunately do not suffer the morale damage that would cause.
Well, it's fair. Yep. My militia rolled a 19. The swarm.
Mm-hmm.
But they still suffer the extra point of stamina damage?
Let me just figure out what I've got for the other guys, because I'm not sure if I put down the Battle Mastery bonus damage.
I don't think you did, and it would make sense if it wasn't, but...
Yeah, the superiority dice bonus damage does not apply to mass combat here. Because
Plus 7 stamina damage.
They are very good otherwise.
I mean, that would be great.
Okay.
Plus 7 stamina, yeah. Just wipe out an entire unit with 1 hit.
Now, the Dretch Swarm actually has multi-attack, so it's going to make 2 attacks.
Yep.
But they are going to be with disadvantage because they're up against a shield wall.
Actually, it's flat because
it's flat because of aura.
Alright, so that's straight up. The first is a 20, so that'll hit for 1 morale and 1 piercing slashing. and the next one is 5, which is going to be missing.
You said 1 stamina and morale?
Stamina seems like a good word for it. I'm gonna write that down for later. Alright, and the other Dretch Swarm is going to try and zippity-doo-dah over to you, Corgi Knights. Its first
harassment.
move is going to take it to there. And its
Charge.
second move is going to try and take it to here with 25 feet of its
Hold
60
on,
movement.
I'm just trying to make sure like I got this just right. Oh, right here now. So I have
Alright.
range.
You've successfully harassed the Dretches.
All I can imagine is fluffy corgi butts just waggling in the air as they run away.
Mm-hmm.
Like a dog playing keep away.
And that was 25 feet of its extra dash movement, so that would be 35 for the extra stuff. So it would be able to catch up with you, but I'm gonna be nice and let you do this. The tricky thing with I might need to actually increase the harassment
Range.
movement to 40 feet instead of 20 feet because I scaled it up without changing it.
But you
You
would
want me
still
just
have to
replace that real
lose.
quick, the 20 to 40?
You
What
would
was that?
still have
I
to
said you
leave
want me
40
to
feet
change
in.
it 20 to 40? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Let's-
but 40 feet give you much more wiggle room than 20 feet in this upscaled map. So that's that.
Yeah.
Linny.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask probably questions on half my turns here.
No worries, that's what this practice is for.
That's what I figured. So if I were to animate weapon, let me just roll it for you so you can see what it does. I'm gonna use max psi points on it so you can see. What kind of bonus would that give me? Would it basically be an extra 1 point of damage? Would it do nothing? What do you think?
So I would say that your unit can use it. I would say it would give bonus damage, and that would be based on the number of psi points that you use. So
Do you want to do the same 3 as 1 and 6 as 2?
I would say anything between 1 to 3 is going to be an extra 1, but 4 to 6 is going to be an extra 2.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a bit more economical for you.
Yep, definitely. So what I'm going to have these guys do is just rotate up here and multi-attack.
Yep, and they are now flanking the Dretch Swarm. The Aura of Bloodletting would already give them advantage, so
Right.
that's the thing they already have. But
I've
the
got
Massive
pack
Men Gang
tactics.
have Pack Tactics, which give them bonus damage when they're flanking.
Yep. So I'm going to use clubs and blades. 19 to hit. And then I
That'll hit.
have extra or multi-attack, so I'm going to use it again.
Fantastic. Those will both hit. So you deal 2 damage each to them. That'll be a total of... once per round is gang tactics. The pack tactics. So you'll deal 3 stamina damage to them and 2 morale damage to them.
And then I'm going to use the rest of my movement to just kind of back away. And because I'm a skirmisher, I can do that without provoking.
100%. Okay. And we're on... do you have any bonus actions you want to do?
Yeah, actually, Linny is going to use a bonus action that I have pretty much never used before. And I now need to find it. Where'd it go?
Well, while we're doing that, Lamb, how about you take your turn?
Here it is.
Alright. I'm gonna move.
No, wait, I'm not using that. That's concentration. Ignore me. No bonus.
No worries.
Okay. I'm just. Oh, never mind. No. Oh. This way to completely annoy these motherfuckers. And I'm going to fire with my Corkin Knights.
Fantastic.
Second one is the longbow.
You're going to fire Corgi Knights at them.
Yes, it's like nine. It's like whatever bird it is called. Now I have a question.
Yeah.
Could I theoretically use sharpshooter to increase my damage somehow?
Yes. So you would
Okay.
take the usual minus 5 to hit, and you would deal an extra bonus 1 damage if you hit.
And
Keep in mind that your knight's attack bonus is far lower than your own.
I know.
But dretches are very easy to hit, so it's a calculated risk.
Mm-hmm. I'm also looking at the range of a short bow real quick.
80.
160 at the maximum. And since I have sharpshooter, the passive nullifies the disadvantage at longest range. I'm going to hit this one right here with sharpshooter.
Sure thing. That'll be a hit.
Awesome.
And
So,
with your flaming arrows and sharpshooter, that's 3 piercing damage, and I'll say the flaming arrows also deal an extra morale damage. That's 2 morale damage. But that actually wipes out this Dretch Swarm. They were on 1 morale and 1 stamina left.
yeah, how I mentally picture it, it's just, you know, like in some of those movies, the arrow swarms that blot out the sun. It's just tiny corkies, tiny fairies somehow make this absolutely clusterfuck of an arrow storm.
Tiny little flaming matchsticks.
Hey, if they're tiny, that means multiple thing. They can get into multiple eyes at once.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Right, Wilford, it's your turn.
All right.
Hey, Wilford, they're pre-cooked and already have the little toothpicks in them. All you need to do is slice them up.
Excuse me for this slight retro, just because it's better to announce it since we're figuring things out. So that 24 to hit was actually a crit because of the silver tusks.
Oh yeah, they have improved critical.
Critical.
Yeah, they crit on a 19 to 20. I should really put that down in their stat block.
You can put that in the roll itself by having CS greater than 19 in the roll, and it will automatically show as green, a green box when it hits a 19.
Oh, okay. Hold on, let me just figure that out. So CS greater than 2, for instance. Okay, cool. Yeah. That is good to know.
Like that, but double brackets.
Cool.
I'll just slot that in right now.
Yep. And so that would done what? Just an extra stamina and extra morale, or?
Yes, it would have. It will double all of those effects that would normally be done through dice.
Okay. And the other thing was sneak attack. Does that apply?
Attack.
Oh,
yes.
I have a small question too. This is kind of more of a retro thing. As a ranger at the point I am, I'm 90% sure I can take a bonus action to dash. Could I do that with my Corgi Knights?
You absolutely can.
Yeah, so I'm just going to move them an extra 80 feet, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just remembered, like, half the shit Lamb kind of has that works here.
All right. Forward march onto the flying demon spawn.
Yeah.
Are they banging their shields with the swords? Just boom, 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 boom.
First thing first is I'm going to have My thing disappeared. Excuse me. Boop, 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 boop. Where are the silver tusk? All right. Well, so Wolford had them eat a very hearty breakfast before battle. It all comes out at once.
Fantastic. We have a first area of effect. So the Babao cadre has to make a Constitution save right here. They get a. Let's just say they failed for the sake of fun. They don't have any resistances. They do resist cold damage though, so I'll take half of this. But the rough sort of ballpark that I'm using for area of effect damage is not like the size of the damage, but the number of dice that are rolled. So in this case, it's 4d6, so it would deal 4 strength damage.
Okay.
But because they resisted, it only deals 2 strength damage.
Right.
But I would say that also would deal a equal number of morale damage. So you deal 2 and 2 with that.
I just want to double check. These are supposed to be kind of weak because we're going to defend against multiple waves of them.
The Dretchers, yes. The Babaos are a step up, but they're more dangerous when they're in like a rank behind, when they can weaken people.
Okay.
There will be much more dangerous enemies which come up as well. So yeah, the Silver Tusk Militia, over the top of their shields, breathe out this massive like belch of frost and mist that just coats the Babao cadre in ice.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna have them invigorated by the second taste of Wolford's cooking on their tongues. They're going to add insult to injury with. Oops.
It was the breath weapon bonus action?
It was a regular action, I think.
Okay.
But I'm going to action surge.
Ah, fantastic.
I think my browser is dead, so let me reload right quick.
I think both of those hit with advantage.
With advantage, those both definitely hit. So that's going to deal another 2 points of each kinds of damage to them.
And then sneak attack and weapon fighting and potatoes.
So your sneak attack is once per round.
Right.
And you have advantage, so that would count. So you deal an extra strength damage there, or extra stamina damage.
Class.
And what were the other things? Potato and what?
Let's get nasty up in here.
All right, menacing attack. They cast fear over you, and then you just like completely slash them to pieces. They roll a 4 on their save for menacing attack, so that actually brings them to 0 morale. So these guys are now broken. That means that they'll get a white flag and broken units. I'm glad we got to showcase this. So this is what happens when you break a unit. It immediately becomes frightened of you. And then on its next turn, it tries to use its actions to dash away and cannot use disengage. So in this case, when we tick over to this turn...
But wait, there's more!
Oh, you have more?
There's always more.
With Wilford, it's just a cooking pot of things.
So did you have a bonus action left over from before?
He used action surge, which does not take an action.
Fantastic. So these guys are immediately going to provoke normally from the Silver Tusk Militia. So let's see. While in defensive stance, you make opportunity attacks without using your reaction.
So
Okay.
I get free attack, and then if once they leave range, I get another free attack with reaction.
Okay. And that can all happen within a 5 feet reach that the Silver Tusk has?
Yep.
It
Alright,
says you
roll.
can use your reaction to make a melee attack against a creature that moves more than 5 feet while within your reach.
Oh my, well, yeah.
Okay, so it's just the one. It's just the one attack.
Gotcha.
But yeah, if they move here, go ahead and roll your attack. Okay,
13.
With a 13 to hit, that will unfortunately miss. So these guys are going to cover their retreat well enough to try and run away.
Oh wait, lucky.
Oh, lucky! Yes, you're a halfling. Re-roll that first one.
Yep.
Ow!
17's going to hit. So you're not going to allow these guys to run away. They get cut in the back while trying to run.
I drawed and quartered.
You'll
But
know-
wait, there's more.
Oh, no.
What do you
This
got?
is really just how Wilford works. Wait, there's more.
You're gonna trip them? They're dead, Jim.
Yeah, they cannot roll strength saves because they are dead.
So
You'll-
they're all on the ground. They're prone, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make them prone. You're fine.
But yeah, you'll note that broken units are very vulnerable. So yeah, they will get extra damage as they run away, and also you'll need to chase after them and give them more morale in order to keep them on the field.
Do they just run indefinitely, or is there a limit to how far they run away?
So they normally have a rally point. For the demons, that'll be like way off to nowhere because they don't want to deal with their superiors. But for you guys, for your friends, that will be on this map probably the earliest strong point. So that'll be probably the Temple Barracks, which is down near the south of the map.
Is that right north of where all the other units are right now?
No, that's one of the Abatic cathedrals, or Abatic churches.
This one?
The Temple Barracks is, yeah, that one with the brown ditch around it.
Okay.
Does
Is there a
that
way we
mean-
could like put a marker for rally points?
Absolutely. Let me just grab like an AoE token real quick.
Are you saying that means that we can push to the end zone from the demons? Reverse the court.
I don't
Full
know the
court
sports
press?
ball references. If you mean like go all the way to their rally point, then possibly. But if you've gotten at that point, then we're probably going to end the combat because it's already the case that you've won.
No, we got to kill the king. Catch the flag.
Then we
Climb
have to
top
take
of
the
hill.
flag back into our city without getting stopped.
We're playing countries now.
I'm thinking
Alright.
more like Halo, or where you just where you and a warhog full of friends try to get the flag and run like hell.
Yeah. It's rocket boat. Anyway, so yeah, the only thing left on the map, because this Babel cadre got completely slaughtered in front of this Dretch swarm, it's going to lose a morale. So it's on much less morale now, as it's going to try and charge in to avenge its friends. And it's actually going to have to dash to engage with the Mastiff Men gang. So I'll just put him right hereabouts
Oh no.
and put him to the back. So it doesn't have any actions it can do.
Lenny, fuck them up.
I was gonna use an AoE ability too. Man, making me not want to use my AoEs. So
Oh yeah, actually, also the Corgi Knights, because they witness something stronger than them get killed, they get an extra morale and are now fervent.
I'm trying to remember what fervent does. Sorry, I have very poor short-term memory.
While you're fervent, you can spend morale to gain advantage on d20 rolls.
Okay.
okay.
I feel like this is a very key thing to balance out with how weak their HP pool is,
They have their advantages.
along with the reform and reboot thing that they have.
Yeah, I think you definitely want to be focusing on boosting morale as much as you can.
it's pretty valuable.
All right, I'm going to just be boring and attack them a couple times with advantage.
Go for it.
This is Lamb's entire life.
For it?
Don't call it boring. Oh, natural 20.
And maybe
Okay,
a
so
miss.
So you got a crit and a hit also, because dretches are really easy to hit.
Good.
So that's going to be, let's see, sneak attack doesn't get
I don't
boosted
have
with
sneak
crits
attack.
normally, really. Yeah, it's just that the Mastiff Men have sort of based their thing on sneak
Okay,
attacks.
so yes, it does. Any dice gets increased.
All right, fantastic. That means you deal 5 points of strength damage and 3 points of morale damage. So that actually wipes out this Dretch Swarm
Did I just one-shot
as
it?
well.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Dretches are not very strong. And with that, I'll just go over one last thing. So, Wilford, your Silver Tusk Militia, the shield wall makes them a little more stiff to turn around.
Right.
So, what you can do is you can turn 90 degrees by using 5 feet of movement. This is like an about face. So
Okay.
you would
Yep.
use 10 foot of movement to turn around, basically.
Hmm.
If you needed to turn all the way around, it was 10 foot of movement. If you needed to, like, for whatever reason, turn like 270 degrees all the way around, that would be like 15 foot of movement, but that doesn't seem right. So from your facing upwards, like 90 degrees, 5 foot, anything above that, 10 foot. And then you can engage the Dretch Swarm if it was still up.
If you're just running along this path, though, it doesn't cost extra movement, right? It's if you had to actually turn 90 degrees, that's when it matters.
Yes. So it's, if you can imagine the shield wall as like this tight formation, right? Like units marching up and down the square. It's kind of awkward for them to like slowly shuffle to rotate their entire formation. So instead, every single individual like turns 90 degrees. So now the entire formation is turning, is like facing another direction. And then, like, say, any other shuffling to get between those two is just the extra movement as well. So it's a little bit less wieldy, but if you're moving like along a path and you're changing facing, so like if you were moving to say over to here, you wouldn't have to use that extra movement to turn because
So-
you're turning as you're moving.
Using the Mastiff Men as an example, if I'm moving up along this path, it doesn't cost anything. But if I'm down here and I have to turn 90 degrees, does that cost something?
Only if they're in a shield wall formation.
Okay.
If they're not in shield wall, then they move just normally.
So what you're saying is I can do some sweet 2160 with mindless charge.
100%. They can do whirlies on the spot and get real dizzy.
Can
And
they
then
no
action
scope
surge
360?
for another 1,000. Or another.
Yep.
Do-
I might
they
I
get-
might give them the nauseated condition. But yeah, sure.
Do they get advantage if they no scope 360 on them?
I would say you would have to roll a performance check doing that, just so you can get the editing right. But
Oh
perhaps.
man. Oh man. Performance check on these guys.
Yeah, if you want to dance off with them, absolutely.
Oh,
360 no scope.
I want to do a dance off with the babaus now, okay?
We'll see what we can do. But yeah, you've just completed your first skirmish.
Nice.
These were some weaker units, but as you can see, I'm very glad that you guys delved into your abilities as you can and realized the flexibility of the stuff you can do. But yeah, this was really valuable. I got a few notes, but I would like to actually get your feedback. So what do you think of how this flows?
I like it. It's the size of the tokens with the range seems a little awkward, but it's totally fine.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. With them being 60 feet, basically in diameter, I can't use any of my ranged abilities because they're all basically 60 feet or less. And normally a ranged ability is balanced so that 30 feet is safe-ish, 60 feet is very safe, and there's nothing more than that unless it's intended to be a super long-range ability. I'm wondering if it might make sense to make the tokens like half the size.
I thought about that, but I mean, so like in practice, the Bao Bao use a 30-foot range fear spell.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to, in one turn, close that distance. Which is about right. If you have to get in 30 feet to somebody, you're within walking one turn of movement.
Right.
At the same time, it also begs the question of whether a 60-foot range thing should keep you safe unless the person dashes towards you.
Right.
So that's worth considering.
Like, if I were going to use my lightning leap ability, which is the one I was considering using, I'll just do the lowest amount here. That's a 60-foot long attack. Normally, I could be safe with that, but I can't be because I have to basically, if I want to hit them with the AOE, I kind of have to be almost in melee range. Otherwise, I'm basically touching their toes, and does that really count as an AOE? I don't know. I've got to be unsafe in order to use this ranged ability.
Okay. I think also you tend to use Lightning Leap like directly in or to get straight into melee.
Yep.
That's been my experience with you using it. Whereas because Lightning Leap is a area line, if you cut right through it, that would actually be awkward for a unit to do because they're so big.
Right.
So yeah, in order to actually cut through another unit, you would have to be just right on the other side of it without being
one thing that
safe.
that I theoretically could do with this, if the units were smaller, is I could lightning leap to the other side and maybe be flanking with the Silver Tuskmen or something. Like I could lightning leap over here, but with the size being 60 feet diameter, I cannot do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me just note down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just adding more flexibility to what I can do and stuff. So it might not be something you want to consider, but it's just a thought that I had with it.
No, it's a good point. I think it'll actually help to balance things out to make the tokens a little smaller. I can experiment with that a little bit. The only reason that I picked this particular token size is because it's the default size for a gridless map.
Yep.
That a token will put down. So it wasn't with any particular decision making in mind. So we can absolutely shrink them down, and it would make sense for it because these things aren't necessarily like 30-foot by 30-foot formations all the time.
Right. And 30 feet is a pretty large size for a unit of people. Like
it is,
just not even in the abstract sense. It's huge. It's basically a small house walking around. So if we have a 60-foot unit, we're talking about a ton of people in this unit.
Yeah. And considering these aren't like Roman centurions of like centuries or something like that. These don't have like 100 men in them necessarily. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that big. Probably like what I'll do is I'll play around a bit with the token sizes because the Dretch swarms, they're meant to be like all spread out and full of lots of different individuals. So they might stay the same size, but say the Babaos and the Silver Tusk and all that kind of stuff can be much smaller.
And it definitely
the skirmishes in particular can be much smaller.
Definitely makes sense to have multiple sizes as well. Like some units might be much larger than others. Just like in normal combat, you'll have large units and smaller.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, what was the other thing? You inferred earlier that we're not going to get a lot of resting time.
Right.
So I'm just trying to think about balance and psychic point usage and spells and so on, because 3 psychic points is about akin to a level 2 spell, and 6 is about a level 4-ish spell. 5 is actually a level 3, and 7 is a level 4. So it's weird.
Mhm.
So I'm just wondering if that's something we want to look into a little more. Like 2 psychic
My
points. Go ahead.
flame arrows last an hour.
My recommendation would be to basically divide the psychic points used by 2, and that would be the number of points, and you had it by 3. I think that would be a little bit... Like, I don't want to use 6 psychic points in one go, in general. I want to avoid doing that unless it's a major ability.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That makes a lot of sense.
I'm wondering if dividing it by 2, like for the Draft of Courage, I would add 1 point per 2 psychic points instead of 1 point per 3.
Hmm. That's absolutely doable. I think that makes a lot of sense, considering the limitations of your psychic pool. I mean, this is kind of running into a repeat of the usual balancing act of mystics.
Yep.
Right.
With their psychic pool being like, oh yeah, you only get them all back in a long rest, but you
But
like
you're
have these
very
really huge
flexible.
artillery things in the first few encounters. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to
Well,
trust that the GM
the other part of
like
it,
spaces out the encounters properly.
the other part of it though is that I can use it so flexibly. Like I can spend 1 psychic point on my attack, my melee attack, this one,
Mhm.
and it's extremely powerful per psychic point. And then it gets less powerful if you add 1 more psychic point, slightly. So like, just 1 point spent there is super strong. But so I prefer to use 1 point instead of dumping all at once for that particular ability. And that means I can do this 44 times in a single day if I only use this one ability, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But if I want to boost it, like for example, for this combat, I think in order to do 1 more point of damage, I would have to spend 2 psychic points instead of 1.
Hmm.
That would be my recommendation. Then I
Yeah,
can only
and-
use it half that many times.
Yeah, that actually will be a good rule of thumb to adopt, I think, for your psychic abilities and the effects they have. So yeah, let's revise animate weapon to require 2 points, 4 points, or 6 points for half that many damage, respectively.
Okay.
I was just spitballing before.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I
that's
wasn't going to
actually-
argue while
yeah.
during middle combat there.
Absolutely.
Plus, I kind of need to see how the balance went anyways before I would make any opinions on that.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, in general, keeping in mind your resources, because these combats, mass combats, because they're going to be a bunch of assaults consecutively, and there's going to be a lot of units to deal with, potentially. You'll want to think more about your resource management, because the cost in this case is taking more days from Lenny's amulet, and that's going to have a narrative consequence.
Honestly, I really like having some fights actually require us to use resources, which is one of the reasons why I proposed the long rest rules we have for actual resource management.
Yeah, and it makes sense. But yeah, side point conversion, the spell ranges, and well, the unit sizes, more like. But yeah, you guys, Cat or Wilford,
Huh?
Cat or Bit, did you guys have any comments? What do you reckon?
I'm perfectly fine because I think if I play this right, I could literally probably get through this entire counter without my Corky Knights being touched once.
Theoretically, yeah.
Mhm.
Because I have the case of extreme mobility.
Keep in mind, though, that we might fight enemy spellcasters that can target you from a distance, or, siege
Yeah.
units.
And
That'll
there's
probably-
been a lot of scare tactics of there being hidden units. I don't know if I'm just reading too far, but
Oh, I have the ability to go hidden too.
A couple more questions. One, what is this gray? Is it like a wall?
These are just like shanty buildings
Okay.
that are clinging just outside the gate. Like
So
little-
that's an obstruction we cannot walk through.
it really depends what kind of unit you have. I'd say the skirmishers would be able to get through it without
Okay.
worrying about it. The Corgi Knights would be able to get through it. The Silvertusk Militia would have a difficult terrain getting through it.
Okay, so it's
Um,
difficult terrain, basically?
Yeah, but the golems would not be able to get through it without, and the like knights and large
Once
units would not be
again,
able to get
as-
through it without destroying
As
it.
a ranger, what difficult terrain?
And
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have your orders. I'm going looting.
my second question is my psychic focus, and I think Bit has it as well.
Yes.
Does that apply to my unit? Because if it does, my massive men should have +1 AC.
Yes, they will.
Okay. I have a feeling
That-
that whenever I'm asking, does this apply to my unit, the answer is yes, and the question is how.
Yeah. So the default answer is yes. The default how is exactly how it affects you.
Mhm.
But if it doesn't translate exactly, like temp HP, then we would have a quick discussion about it.
Yep.
Quick question also. With my Baphomet's challenge, light buff, debuff, does that just apply to me, or do I get a raging horde of Corgis?
You would get a raging horde of Corgis with very low dex that were compelled to attack whatever attacked them.
That is terrifying.
I will say, just for the sake of making sure you're not got a ticking time bomb, the Corgi Knights, when they take damage, they won't have to roll. But when you take damage, you will have to roll. So if you're caught in an area of effect,
Yeah.
then yeah, you'll have to roll that wisdom check, and if you fail it, then it'll affect your entire unit.
And then it suddenly Lamb has out a battle axe, and suddenly the Corgis have a bunch of tiny. The Pixies and Corgis all have tiny swords out, and it is going to go zoom.
Yeah, I imagine you can imagine narratively how that looks, but maybe Baphomet just decides to spread out this crimson influence to the rest of your unit as well.
Maybe
That would be
Baphomet
amazing.
makes them attack our city, because that's what Baphomet does.
It's
So
possible.
back
A fun
to...
thing that
Go ahead.
a fun thing to use that with though is the Darklings.
Yeah. Back to our temp HP. So one thing I had suggested, and maybe it's something to consider, while I'm attached to a unit, I'm wondering if that temp HP might give resistance to morale damage.
Yeah. How about, because that's like a pretty significant thing,
Uh-huh.
we could have it such that they resist the first source of morale damage they get in a round,
Okay.
kind of like a absorb elements type of thing, but you don't have to use a reaction.
Okay. So they resist the first hit of morale damage per round, but it's only once per round?
Yes, and if you're playing skirmishes, you're probably going to be in a quite unfortunate place if you've put yourself vulnerable to more than one source of morale damage.
Right. And by resist, I don't mean immune. I mean half damage.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense because it's one per round for the temp HP as well. Another possibility I was going to suggest is you take half morale damage, but you also gain half the morale boost. Sort of like you mentioned the calm emotions thing.
So in
But that's
that
more of a
case,
penalty.
that is more of a penalty. How is your psychic focus flavored for your temporary HP?
It's called Psionic Resilience. Do you want me to find it and read it?
Yeah, sure, or just copy and paste it.
Okay.
Whatever's.
Let me find it because I don't have it written down. It'll take me just a minute.
Mhm. Yeah, that does sound like a penalty that's pretty significant, and it might make things more complicated. But
Mhm.
if it's something that you want to adopt for it, then that's fine.
I feel
Um,
like Bit probably should have a say in this too because he has the same
Yeah,
thing.
because you have the same ability.
Yeah, although, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, pretty much anything I could technically probably piggyback off of. Although Wilford's technically not as proficient.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean-
mine is more. So it doesn't give me very much for flavor. That's all I've got.
Okay, so it's pretty flexible. In that case, it's up to you.
I like
I mean,
the
it would be
idea
either way,
of
but yeah.
the one per turn thing.
Okay.
Does that work for you, Bit?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's the most as intended, I guess. I don't know. I can't think of right
I'm-
wording for it.
I'm wondering, should I have a bigger boost than Wilford because I have double his bonus, basically? Or more than double?
I think I'm gonna say no in this
Okay.
case because you've got a lot more level scaled psionic abilities
Yep.
to make up for that. The psychic focus, the foci, they're things that you get like straight up.
Yep.
And the way it scales up is not particularly significant for the mass combat, I reckon.
Sure thing. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with whatever you choose. I was just spitballing.
No worries.
Yeah, I'm trying to ask questions because I feel like I'm gonna have questions.
And it's going to be okay to have questions. We're not going to have everything worked out.
Advantage against magic would probably apply.
Yeah, perhaps like we can just
this.
take this moment for you guys if you just want to look through your abilities, and now that you've experienced how that stuff can affect your units, if you have questions about how it would apply here, if it's not really clear, then we
So
can go through it.
theoretically, I could just drop Healing Spirit on this army, and it's just no death.
I would say once per round, while it's on that unit, it would gain a stamina
Like
back.
one HP kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which makes
sorry.
it pretty good. But it would be what's the action to move around the healing spirit?
I think it's just a free or bonus action.
It's not free.
Is it not? I think it might be a bonus
I
action.
think it's bonus. Might be an action, but I think it's bonus.
Level 2, because that's what Healing Spirit is. Guess, spell info. Spell in.
As a bonus action,
Okay,
you can move it.
So it says the spirit can heal a number of times equal to 1 plus your spellcasting ability modifier. So
That
it would
was, I think, what we said for out of combat.
right.
Because I added all. I remember we had that entire discussion because it was a little bit much, and we agreed to add on that little extra blurb.
Yeah. We also received an errata for Healing Spirit, and we went with this as a kind of middle of the road.
What for Healing
Okay.
Spirit?
Errata, where they fixed it.
What is it now?
I can look it up.
Because if it's different, I don't mind changing it to the nerfed version.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing the nerf version. It's looking a lot more balanced.
It was pretty close to what we have written in there. This is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's exactly basically what it is.
So your spellcasting mod is like +2, right? Or
I think
+1?
it's +3.
+3. So yeah, it would
Lamb has a
basically
+3 to wisdom.
it would heal once a turn for 4 turns and then disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And as a bonus action, you can move it 30 feet. So we'll say 60 feet. So it can move with a unit that's moving. But yeah, it'll be quite a valuable spell. But it's not something you get very many of. So
I have a decent amount of second level spell slots, about 3, so I can get.
Keep in
I
mind
can
that
go
this
full.
is going to be a marathon run. We're going to
I
have
know.
several combats back to back.
I'll try to make it so it's not tedious combats as well. So.
Right.
But yeah, it will be resource draining.
Mystical recovery. After
Yeah,
using psi points on a discipline, I can use a bonus action to regain HP equal to spent psi points. I feel like this isn't a 1-to-1 thing. I shouldn't get 6 stamina back if I use 6 psi points, right?
No, I would say
I mean, that's only it only recovers psi points, right? It doesn't
No,
recover.
it recovers HP.
Oh, it does.
It does not recover
yeah.
psi points. It's after you use psi points.
Right. It's I don't use it. Sorry. So it's.
You should. It's good.
I have.
I got the better version, sir. Be a fighter.
Be a fighter.
Man, I feel like I have so much less options than you guys got from having that bag of trick from the Psychonics.
It's second level, so you can use this. I think, Wilford, if ever you're at less than full HP.
Yeah, but second win is just better.
Yeah,
So.
more limited, but yeah.
Okay. Immediately after you spend psi points on a psi discipline, bonus action or regain hit points.
Cause I don't know, is it, like, we're talking about people having 80 hit points or something. Like 6 psi points is barely 1. So I'm not sure how powerful we want this to be, or if it even does anything.
Well, I still like the scale of 2-to-1 temp HP psi points morale.
I do
I'm
like
thinking about that, and also you're spending a bonus action on it.
Yep.
Which is valuable as well.
So you're thinking if I spend 2 psi points, I can heal 1 stamina?
Yes, but it will not heal morale, I think,
Yes.
in this case. And that'll also be a balancing factor.
Yep.
Did you yeah, so, alright. Lamb, you mentioned that you have less tricks up your sleeve.
It is true, sadly. I'm a lot more reliable than they are, though.
Yeah. I would be willing to have
if you
your
want
magical
to give me,
items affect.
If you want to give me an extra little bags of tricks like they have, let those fairies. Let me have access to a butchered version of the fairy spell list.
Actually, Mutton, something that Lamb might bring to the forefront that we don't have is his favorite enemy.
That is true.
That's true.
Maybe he deals 1 extra damage or something.
Yeah, I mean, Lamb is still out damages us. I mean, kind of, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Per hit.
Over a long period of time, I will definitely outdamage you all. Simply because I have a flame arrows last for an hour. I can cast that twice up for 2 hours, and theoretically, if we go to base, I get someone who knows the spell to cast it on my army. I can come back in.
Theoretically,
with the zoomies, it's very simple. That's why I'm just saying it's kind of funny that I have this less bag of tricks, but I'm overall more reliable.
Well, Lenny's not built to be reliable. Like, at all. Lenny is built Lenny is a skirmisher. That is what she is built for.
Lamb is built as if you dropped him in the middle of a forest that he knows nothing about, and you come back a few months later, you'll find that he has the apex predator on a roast and he's polishing off the head to hang on to his door.
So yeah, favorite enemy is going to be really valuable for you. Both for
I mean,
hitting
I
enemies
also
and for
ignore
bonus damage.
completely difficult terrain. I
Yeah.
have like a lot of neat passives, not a lot of active abilities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a lot of passives, and we have a few passives, but I think that's where you're gonna shine is your favorite enemy and your other passives.
I also got natural explorers, so ignore difficult terrain for me and whatever army I'm using. I'm very I would do best with things like the Corky Knights and the Darklings that are skirmishers that let me move fast, hit hard, get out of the way.
Another possibility, Mutton,
Yep.
would be to allow Wolf to be a commander, separate from Lamb.
Oh my god, that's stupid and I love it. He can technically talk. He can think.
Uh-huh.
Imagine-
that
I
would-
reckon that's a good idea because
That would
you get a
apply
lot-
your passives to both units.
Yeah, yeah.
If I get Wolf with the Darklings, because the Darklings are more melee fighters, and he goes zoom.
Could 100% do that, and because a good chunk of your ranger abilities are to do with that beast ball, you're going to be able to get value out of that as well.
Have a reaction to have the Darklings attack.
Yeah,
That would be
Good.
that would be pretty awesome.
I got this when we leveled up to level 10. Let me go. Starting at 10th level, you can remain perfectly still for long periods of time to set up ambushes. When you attempt to hide on your turn, you can opt out not to move on that turn. If you avoid moving, creatures that attempt to detect you take a -10 penalty to the to the perception checks until the start of your next turn. I could use that with the Darklings and these kind of alleyways and stuff.
Yeah, you can set up ahead of time and
Mhm.
ambush really well.
Because the main thing I had the idea of with Lamb and Wolf, since they're the fast motherfuckers, I could, if the Corky Knights start getting low, Lamb can opt off and go with the Darklings just by darting away, coming back, leaving to heal its healing spirit while they recover morale. He's going to have a lot of good options in this. I got already a bunch of ideas. You guys have a lot of actives that you can do to increase your damage momentarily. You can do a lot of these little neat things. The Lamb is more.
I'm
I
partially
got these things. I'm going to use them to their max ability.
I'm partially tempted to have Kettle join the golems, but I think that would be a terrible idea in the long run.
Why?
Because the
You don't want
golems are
Kettle
probably the
going
first to
berserk?
go. They're probably going to go berserk pretty early on. So
Yeah, because it's going to be very hard to increase a golem's morale.
yep.
Oh, they're amenable to morale boosting things. I think as long as you have a morale boosting commander on them, they can be pretty resilient.
Yeah, Linny could make them super resilient.
Don't give them to Wilford because Wilford's plan is to send them out in the middle of the enemy and then let them go berserk. But
Yeah, keeping in mind, all of you guys can spend an action to roll like a charisma skill check to
Oh.
try and regain morale.
Charisma?
Our best stat, cool. What's the
Hey,
Is that
in
like
DC on that?
overall?
What's the DC
Is that
on
like
that?
overall the party's worst stat?
Yep. We do not have a charisma player. Any of us. We are all terrible
And
at charisma. That's why Linny is our our voice, our face.
Fair enough. fair
Is that just persuasion or is it pure charisma?
It can be persuasion, it can be
Okay.
intimidate, it can be deception.
What is Lenny's charisma stat?
Like 12?
Oh no.
yeah, same for
Oh,
Wilford's
no.
12.
13. Linny is 13 charisma.
Oh, just one point higher than the old man.
But she
Well,
has
she's a charming young lady. It's inherently a little more charismatic.
she does not have a good sense of self. That's why her charisma is low. So it's easy for people to see through her. But Linny, she has bonuses to persuasion, I believe. So
Lamb is the equivalent of I don't give a fuck.
she has advantage on
thankfully-
deception.
Well, thankfully, your NPC commanders do have a bunch of morale boosting abilities if you need to make use of them. So
Right.
Yeah,
you have that at
probably.
least.
I'm just gonna Lydia can move her advantage to deception and be like, "Hey guys, everything's fine. We're doing great."
Hey, that's the thing about what's that thing about bravery? Bravery is knowing that you're afraid but doing it anyway.
Yep.
So if you can encourage your friends, don't have to be brave. They just have to be convinced that they can win.
Yep. We can totally do this. Thousands of enemies pouring upon us.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I only have 2 more points to cover, and then I'm out of things to nag about.
Sure thing.
So just stout resilience, advantage on saving throws against poison. That applies to my units.
100%.
But the one that I was really curious about is nimble. I can move through the space of any creature that is a size larger than mine. Would that somehow see play here?
I think that would work
Yes, it
well
could,
with
actually.
the Darklings and the Corgi Knights, since they're
So-
all very small creatures.
You'll find that most of your units are made up of medium creatures. That means that if they're up against a large
Oh,
creature
right.
and you have
'cause-
nimble,
Right.
then they can do their nimble thing.
Right. I keep forgetting that even though the tokens are the same size, the creature is not. Right. Gotcha.
If you were to command the Corgi Knights that are tiny, they could nimble under pretty much anything.
Another thing to consider in your wheelhouse bit is light step. You can
Yeah,
increase the
yeah.
speed of your unit as a bonus action.
That'll be super helpful for you guys.
That'd help with the shield wall in case you really need to turn quickly.
Mm-hmm. Also helps getting up from prone, I think, immediately.
Oh,
Or 5 feet, something like that.
yeah. I can ignore the half cost movement or something like that. But the other thing that I just when we actually have the big battle, are you saying that we're having multiple of these units under our command?
Mm-hmm.
Under your control,
Control.
yeah.
But we're only
So
attached to
they'll-
one
they'll-
unit.
So you'll be able to control them on your turn. However, your PC will only be attached to one of them and
Alright.
confer benefits to one of them.
I have a
Okay.
small question about the artillery cannon thingies as well.
The scorpion bows?
So if Lamb joins them, uses, say, flame arrows and sharpshooter, can
Mhm.
I one-shot a lot of things?
You could one shot a bunch of things, I think. Keeping in mind the Scorpion Bow
Alright.
teams have an Uber loading thing, so they require an action on their next turn just to load.
Mm.
So they're slow firing. Also,
I feel
they're
like we'll want to command some of these, but not be attached to them.
yeah.
So how I'm thinking of it is, if need be, Lamb could, with the Corgi Knights movement, if we place the Scorpion bows on the walls, he could run over, give them commands real quick, and then hop back to the Corgis while they're reloading on the next turn to go out and do things.
Potentially, that will keep your Corgi Knights quite close to the walls, though.
Yeah, but I also have the Corgi Knights have 80 movement, double to 160 because I can use just bonus actions to move at very fast if I want. I have wide battlefield control even from the wall.
Yeah, and also you will need a method of getting up and down the wall to attach to the units, respectively.
I'm thinking something along the lines of just a ladder.
I mean, if you need help with that, I've got an ability that can get you up the walls super easy. So just let
What
me
is
know
it?
if you ever need to get up the walls. And Lenny would let you know out of or in character as well.
Mm-hmm. It's that, or we can post 2 of them and Lamb could jump back to back between the Scorpion bows in case we need just them to cover damage. Because if with Sharpshooter, that's 1,600 range with Scorpion bows, that with no disadvantage.
with the ranging. Oh yeah, with sharpshooter. That's
Yeah.
absolutely correct.
Sharpshooter ignores all range abilities. That means I can reach all over the map.
Yep,
Yeah.
pretty much. A note on the scorpion bows: they will also benefit from your favorite enemy bonus, which will be making them more accurate.
I mean, there's two of them, so just place them right next to each other. Spend one turn on one.
That's exactly what I was thinking while the other ones were loading. The only problem is I can only do flame arrows on one of them since I don't have I can't do like a
Split concentration.
sorcerer.
Twin cast.
Sorcerer. Yeah, I can't do that sadly.
Mm.
Theoretically, also a fun thing I could do if there's like a bunch of enemies, and to start off the things, if we all start off behind the walls, and there's just like a giant horde. Scorpion bow. What's it called? Let me pull up land sheet. Conjure barrage. Just bam.
It's raining.
In case we really want death on the entire field. That's how we're going to we could kind of play it.
I love that so much.
It's just like it's like, okay, what is this guy doing on the wall? Okay, he's grabbing a piece of artillery. Okay, he's casting a spell. It's raining.
I would, just for the rule of cool factor, allow you to work that out with like maybe some extra damage dice on there, or with the siege unit bonus.
What I'm thinking, instead of like a cone effect around them, it would be like a 60 or more, kind of like maybe like 120, about like this. If you look, where is everyone's kind of focused down?
Like
in
a
the middle?
circle or a cylinder
like,
down on them.
Yeah, basically.
That is wonderful.
Instead of like literally making this entire area up front look like a giant porcupine rolled through, it's more just like a balanced 60 diameter 60 diameter circle.
Yeah, 100%.
So one other thing, Kettle gives basically passive AC bonuses for being within 5 feet. Does that apply at all?
Would that stack off other shield golems? Just imagine the killability of that.
Or would that only apply if I split Linny and Kettle's a commander?
Yes.
Okay.
Kettle would have to be a commander attached to a unit to confer his passives.
Cool.
The thing about Kettle is he's also got that big Pavis shield, which may assist in
that's the passive
resisting.
I was talking about, the shield.
Oh, so we have
yeah
splitting commanders.
You kind of summoned your shadow waifus.
I'm gonna say that those shadow waifus can't command a unit because they can't communicate with them, and they are also undead creatures that are probably not going to have people willingly follow them.
The Darklings.
The Darklings aren't gonna hang around with shadow waifus.
So
they've got standards.
You're talking about the dex bonus for everyone standing behind him, right? For the shield thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd say his unit would just de facto get that.
It's going to be more for like Viral, though. Since Viral's a druid, she could theoretically cast summon woodland animals. Would that be its own small army?
That's very small.
Let me just look that up. Most of the summoning spells are gonna be like a bit too small to confer new units, but they could summon things that can cast spells, which could be useful for you guys.
Summon woodland beings allows you to do 1 Fey at 2 or lower, etc., etc. Then it says 8 Fey at quarter challenge rating or lower. That's the most you can do is 8. So that's not a lot of creatures, and they're very weak.
Yeah, it would be a bunch of Blink Dogs, Boggles, Pixies, Spry. sprites. And what's a Valinor Hawk? Oh, that's a wild mount thing. I would say, like, maybe if you summoned 8 Blink Dogs, that could be a really weak unit.
Are Blink Dogs at quarter HP? Or quarter CR?
They sure are.
I thought they were higher. Cool.
Nah, that's what are they called? Whip
Same.
cats.
Same for Pixies and Sprites, actually. But
Displacer Beeves.
yeah, they are pretty. They are pretty weak. The Pixies will be useful because they have some spells on them. The Blink Dogs will be useful because they can teleport, which means I'll probably give them Skirmisher and all that. And the Sprites, well, they're just flying units that can turn invisible, so they're just helpful to have around. They are the mounts of the Corgi Knights as well, so you could summon woodland creatures on the Corgi Knights to give them some extra strength and morale if you wanted.
So, Mutton, I now have
Okay.
terrible ideas because I thought about making Ketilus his own commander. He gets regeneration as a passive.
I would not confer that to a unit, sorry.
Okay.
The golems, though, have acid absorption, so
Uh-huh.
that's something they just have straight out. If you cast an acid spell on them, that's gonna increase their strength.
So I should be near them so I can energy beam acid on them.
Yeah.
Fun.
And that will give you a method to heal them because they are constructs and cannot be affected by most healing spells. So, very useful to know.
That's a cantrip,
Yeah,
by the way.
I'm now debating if
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to go with the Corgi Knights. For Lamb we could put like Wolf with the Corgi Knights because he's
Mhm.
fast as fuck boy.
Yeah, but you want
and-
Wolf to be melee.
Yeah, that would probably be better with the Darklings then, or something along the lines of the Cavalry.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys think about it. We are nearing on our break time, so what
I do
I'm
have
going
one
to
last
say.
question.
Yeah, sure. Well, this will be the last question before we.
Yeah, it's something that's going to apply to like when we meet in 2 weeks. Are we at this very start of the next session? Are we going to pick which of these commanders that we're going to send off to other parts of the wall, or are we just kind of more of a, as need be, we can send them off and then they will return a certain amount of turns later? With
I would like you guys to pick which ones should defend the other gates before we start next session.
Mhm.
okay,
And then they'll be out
I-
of commission, basically.
I just thought that was kind of
Yeah.
important because that would lower our responses that we could do.
Yep.
And I'm not going to be mean about it, but if you leave the gates without units and commanders, then they will fall very quickly. So choose wisely which units you want to keep on your
How
battlefield
Many,
and
how
which
many
ones you
gates
want
do we
to
have to defend
remove.
again? 2 other ones?
3 total? Yeah.
3 total gates, and one of them
Okay.
is a bridge, so that will theoretically be easier to defend.
So we would probably want to send off some of the.
I'd say we'd want to send one Scorpion Bow team to the bridge, which would be
Mhm.
really defensive, and probably guard crossbowmen ranged.
along with some spearmen to sit right outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
We would want to. We would. I don't know if we would. I would like one of the warrior nuns or the Gormite priest to stay with us to serve
Yep.
as an extra source of healing. Actually,
Yeah, we should
And
keep
that's-
one of
it's-
them and send the other one to the third gate, I think. But we can do all of that planning later.
Yeah.
okay.
But we are continuing after break, correct?
Yeah, it might be a bit of a longer break. I got to go wake up Gene and see if
Yeah,
I still
no
want to do an Easter one shot. But as it stands, let me know if you have any other questions. I'll tweak a few things before next session. But yeah, take 15 minutes, and I'll see you after that.
Cool.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Thanks, everyone. See you in a
Yep.
bit.
Well, this is an interesting thing that's going to happen.
I like it. I think this is done really well, trying to keep things in the spirit of 5e, which is honestly super difficult to do, and I think Mutton's done a great job at it.
It also allows us a lot of flexibility with the things, and he's very
Mhm.
forgiving with kind of missing and matching spells to kind of alter their typical effects. Like with Conjure Barrage, it's usually a 60-foot cone.
Yeah.
Instead, more just like an arrow range that I can do. And I was trying to think of like something that's not huge. Not like hey, I point those ballista bolts over here. I cast it. This entire area is now littered with corpses.
Let's just make it a 300-foot radius destruction sphere.
I want to say like since it's typically like a 60-foot cone, I want to say like 120-foot maybe with with it like and usually you would roll what 3d8, maybe make it like a 1 or 2 actual damage instead of.
I would say consider the area you're dealing with. A triangular shape is basically you're looking at 60 foot. You're looking at about half of a 60-foot square with a triangular shape. So that's probably something I would look at. I think if you want to go to 120-foot sphere, that's massively larger. So
Yeah, I in my head I was doing it because like I was imagining the spread of arrows along with how since it's going to be shot at an angle to get the max distance. And if we're sending one of the Scorpion Bow teams, I'm not going to have 2 of them to hop between.
one other extremely minor note that I want to put out there is that I am no longer streaming this on Twitch. I'm putting it on Facebook, and I'm doing that for a few reasons. One of them is because, not Facebook, I keep thinking that for some reason. I'm streaming it on YouTube. One of the reasons is because it's easier to keep around long term on YouTube. And the other reason is because it's really messing with my average number of viewers on Twitch, and it's bringing me down quite a bit. So yeah, so I'm moving this over to YouTube where it doesn't matter quite as much. And yeah, so hopefully that'll work out well. But thought I would mention that.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
I'm also not allowed to multi-stream once I reach affiliate status on Twitch, so I wouldn't be able to do it on both eventually anyway. So
Are you getting close?
I'm getting pretty close. I've met 3 of the 4
Really?
requirements. The last one is just having an average number of viewers high enough, and D&D is really bringing that average down. And the average is a really small number. It's only 3 people on average, but it's pretty difficult to do that when you're silent most of the time, because most of my streaming is late at night when I can't talk. So it's pretty difficult to meet an average of 3 people. But once I do that over a period of 30 days, I think, I have it indefinitely until I break some sort of terms of service or something, or don't make enough money out of it, I think, is the other thing.
I thought affiliates took a lot more to do than just that.
There's 4 different criteria you have to meet, including number of subscribers, average number of viewers, amount of time that you're streaming, number of days that you stream on, all that stuff. So I have met that criteria for 3 of the 4 items, and the 4th one is just I stream a lot of YouTube. Sorry, I stream a lot of D&D compared to the Final Fantasy streams that I do, and I don't get viewers for D&D, and I do get them for Final Fantasy. So basically, I'm moving the D&D streams onto YouTube.
Okay.
And taking them off of Twitch, which might help me get affiliate.
Hey, Bit.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Latios, and a Shaman as my 2 people.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't want to do Jigglypuff because, well, no offense, man. I know you like Jigglypuff, but it's not one of my favorite Pokemon. And I saw a cute little hedgehog with a flower in its head. I'm like, Ah, yes. Also, the Guildmaster in my version is a Metagross, which is
Oh, nice. Mine's a Wormadam.
Chatot is replaced by Gibble.
Yeah, I got a Voltorb. One thing I find is that surprisingly, even though there's everyone's substituted for another one, it all still fits.
Yeah, it's because like the Pokemon themselves are not like the personalities are not really dependent completely on what Pokemon they are,
Right. Yeah.
and the
Although
text with the randomizer also changes to call as they call it Metagross's guild or something like
Mhm.
that. So it's completely building it up right.
Yeah, they did a good job with it. But it is kind of weird because my Bidoof pal is a Latias. And just imagining a Latias, the screaming child of Pokemon Heroes, they gave Ash a kiss. Just go, by golly! It's a sight to behold. Oh, another thing that was fitting is so you know how Diglett and Loudred are kind of the Sentry duo. Well, they're both Gastrodons. One's pink and one's blue.
The team like Toxic,
Mm-hmm.
it was a Gastrodon and I'm trying to recall off the top of my head, I can't remember. It was just nothing too utterly impressive, and they tried to fuck with two legendary Pokemon, and it's just like, so that's how you want to suffer today, right? Also, did you do random moves, perhaps?
Yep.
Did you do them with stab or no?
Without stab.
Okay, I did the same. I got a Dragon Pulse with
Oh, nice.
my Shaman, and my Latios has Icicle Spear and something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. Brave Bird.
Yeah. I can't. I don't think I remember what I started with. I've replaced all my moves with TMs or level up.
Oh my god!
But
Oh my god!
I died every. I mean, it was exactly like a roguelike because I would go halfway into the first floor and I would die. And
because of rain or hail or a sandstorm.
Yeah, just because the weather, or I'm surviving with 1 HP, so even a neutral attack kills me. But then I level up, so now I have 2 HP, and I can survive a hit, so I can make it to the second floor. I leveled up all the way to level 10 before I finished the first beach cave.
That's amazing.
But look, I mean, I really only survived because my first level up move was Endure.
Oh.
Which means that I can't die for 3 turns, and then I'm dead.
Yeah, I have to admit, also one thing I like is that the Chosen One Destiny is a lot more fitting with legendary Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh, I was laughing. So my Grovyle is an Omastar.
Umastar.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, but
Omastar Runner?
Can we, Jeeves, friend? That was bad. Go to jail. Go to jail.
I'll still sell for you, Jeeps. Don't worry.
I'm strong mad. I can't go to jail.
You know what? You know what classes I think would do the best in the siege environment? Barbarians, druids, wizards and sorcerers.
I mean, we have
Also-
Ural, so all they have to do is party transform into.
Polymorphos.
I think clerics would work really well. Clerics can have a lot of defensive abilities and long range attacks.
Also, Bit, my Loudras and Ekans.
Man, it's weird. Everybody in town is a Salamence.
Really?
I mean, not everyone, but the bank is a Salamence, the shop is a Salamence, and I think the link move person is a Salamence as well. I haven't got that far, but I think I heard Salamence is link shop or something.
In my guild, I have a. What's the final evolution of a Mudkip called again?
Swampert.
Yeah, I have a Swampert, a Fanapy. Not Fanapy. Like the final like the middle evolution of the electric sheep.
Fluffy.
Yeah. I also have a Shinx, a Relicanth, Raticate, Ekans. Oh god, they're gonna eat each other. The first evolution of a Skuntank and a Solrock.
Yeah. Apart from the Latias Bidoof, I don't really have anything too special. My first boss was a Lucario,
Oh,
But-
that's horrible.
but he went down in 2 hits, so it was barely a footnote.
That's horrible, and I love it.
Oh, I was laughing. That's what it was. So the starting dialogue when you wake up on the beach,
Mhm.
the Pokemon blowing bubbles was a Cacnea. The Cacnea are blowing bubbles.
Oh god. I didn't actually look at them. All I saw was like the cutscene. What are they called?
The artwork.
Crabs.
Yeah,
No.
Crabbies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
they,
just. Oh yeah, I forgot we get our first quest. Lantern. Oh, let's see how we do. It's a bit. A bit.
Yep.
You know, like that first quest you get that's from the Spoink.
Yeah.
Because of how they formatted it, I had to go through an extra dialogue little screen just to get the last in of Lantern.
Yeah.
I have to admit, it makes still an odd amount of sense no matter what Pokemon is there. Is this cave place called Elastic Vulpix?
Probably.
It's so stupid and I love it.
Oh my goodness, I thought I shut you off. Sorry. I think my favorite chapter name was I think chapter 5 or something. Is one where you finally get to explore Waterfall Cave, go on your first incitement, and it was the D&D episode.
I can't wait to recruit things so I can just get random. Okay, why does a Makata have Hydro Pump?
I have so little context for this discussion.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jeeps.